So, can I know your name, please?
My name is S.H. Kariyawasam.
Okay. So, what's your position in here, Department of Meteorology?
Well, I retired when I was retiring. The Division of Meteorology.
Okay. So you know that there's a huge crisis on climate change in currently globally because of greenhouse gases and those things. So what's your concern and what is your idea about that?
Well, it's maybe I think to much extent it's correct.
Yeah.
Greenhouse gases and so on, because when you have greenhouse gases, the atmospheric heating, I mean the temperature, not only temperature but also temperature variation, I mean temperature distribution.
Yeah, fluctuations,
Yeah,
right?
distribution also changes.
Yeah.
So that one is the main thing. Temperature distribution, temperature differences, and because atmosphere also heat engine, you can consider as a heat engine. So this heat engine changes. Whenever it changes, heating changes, then the atmospheric circulation also changes. So because of that, once the atmospheric circulation changes, the weather pattern also changes. So for instance, if you consider about La Nina and El Nino, those are the mainly concerned about the sea surface temperature. When you have higher sea surface temperature, you have the evaporation. When it does evaporation, then that means over that area the air is humid. Not only humid, and also because of the low level heating, then this rises. So in that way, then when the air rises, the moisture, that lot of moisture you have, just over the ocean. So this moisture condenses. So once the moisture condenses, then the condensation energy is released. So once the condensation energy is released, then the overall heat structure or the heat distribution also changes. So those are the responses. Then in response to these heat changes, the atmospheric circulation also changes. So once the atmospheric circulation changes, then you have a lot of climate pattern, average pattern also. When the normal situation changes from the average. So that's why we experience the climate changes. Sometimes you have excessive rain, sometimes you have less rain for certain areas, and also certain areas you may have the heavier rain, certain areas may not have they have less rain.
So you described about extreme weather patterns. So are we also experiencing those weather patterns, extreme weather patterns in Sri Lanka also?
Well, if you consider about the last 10 years or so, we have the abnormal higher temperatures sometimes we have experienced, and also sometimes abnormal, very heavy rain, very intense rain, and with that intense rain, the changes of our ground level, the topography changes, vegetation changes, then these things are multiplied. The effect on the people's, society also multiplied by the human activity. Not only the carbon dioxide, but also the degradation of the soil, degradation of the vegetation. So those things accounts for the vulnerability.
So there are some concerns about the reliability of the news coming from the meteorological center in local communities. Like they are not reliable and those things. So what is your answer for that?
Well, that's basically the people concerned about mostly the so-called educated and people who have been abroad, maybe in the places like middle latitude regions, namely UK, Australia, America, and so on. So they, of course, they all have the regions, extra tropical regions, weather systems are quite different from the tropical weather systems. Extra tropical weather systems can be forecast easily, not only forecast easily, but also to the mathematical models. They use mathematical models. So those things can be very well explained by the mathematical models, and so that mathematical models can be easily used for their forecasting and so on. And their facilities, so everything, they are ahead of us. Of course, Sri Lanka, places like Sri Lanka, we are unlike developed countries. For not only with the forecasting, but also for consider about the other aspects. We are well behind from the developed nations. That reality we have to accept first. And the other thing is weather patterns. We have the tropical weather patterns, which governed by the basically thermal or heat. But there they have the weather systems like fronts, cold fronts, warm fronts, directly moving system from mostly from west to east. So those things can be forecast easily once you monitor these systems. But here we don't have that kind of directly moving systems over tropical regions. We have the convection pattern. Convection due to heat mostly. So thermally direct circulation we have. So those things, one place you may have the rain, and within another half kilometer you don't have rain. So we have the small cloud systems giving the rain and so on. But they have the weather systems, large weather systems, and cloud organization is very large, highly extensive. So there the weather patterns can be easily forecast than the tropical regions. And of course we have to accept they are far ahead of us. Not only meteorology, but the other science as well.
So what can you do to get advancement of weather forecasting in Sri Lanka?
The other thing is, another thing, like Sri Lanka is a small island. If you consider about the surrounding area of Sri Lanka, mostly sea area, overseas. So normally, we don't get much information from the sea area, other than if you get some satellite informations. So that's one problem for us, being the location of our country. One thing tropical, and the mostly surrounded by the ocean. And also luckily, now the mathematical models using the computers and ICT, we have very much good mathematical products of the weather forecasting, numerical weather forecasting systems. So the developed nations or developed centers like European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasting, and the Washington centers, or if you consider UK Met Office, they also, and the Japan Met Office, they also issue the very large scale forecasting products. So those things can be utilized for Sri Lanka, and we have to adjust those things to our area, how to suit for our area. So the downscaling, so that kind of things we have to do. And for those things, of course, a lot of people, the manpower should be involved in those things. Not only just for forecasting, but to the research in weather forecasting, and the validation of the forecast. If they have to follow, later, what are the accuracy of our forecast, then how to improve. Likewise, it's a role in type.
Okay.
So a lot of should be dedicated to these things, but unfortunately, Sri Lanka Meteorology Department these days, I think, again facing a lot of manpower problem.
So there are some traditional methods used to in Sri Lanka to weather forecasting. So how reliable they are?
Well, meteorology does not use those traditional methods.
No, in local communities.
Yes. Local community. What they have to do, they also have to do research. Research means based on the observations. Okay, now I have seen something, say some flies moving over our area. So then the weather or temperature, whatever it is. So they have to monitor those things, whoever, not just by one or two informations, but you have to do the lot of informations, observations, log them, and then they get the at least average and so on. Then they can see what reliability of those information.
Okay, so clear. Thank you for joining me.
Okay.